The book I chose to talk about was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I chose this book because my grandma used to read it to me all the time when I was younger, so I'd be able to recite it easily. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the author of the story. So the author is Robert Southey, and according to the British authors of the 19th century, in January 1936, Robert was born in 1774 and he died in 1843. So Robert had a son that they referred to as the favorite son, and he passed away at a very young age. After this happened, the whole family was shaken and they had no idea what to do. So Robert started turning to writing as a distraction. So he would go write stories just like Goldilocks and other stories to pass the time and to get over these horrible things. So 10 years later, his daughter died, and after that, his wife had to be committed into an insane asylum because it was just too much for her to handle, and she didn't write, so she had nothing to distract herself. So when the wife was away for that long time, Robert found another woman, and he ended up getting remarried. So all of this had happened, and once he got remarried, it was getting a little bit better. So Robert started losing his memory, and he was not able to write anymore. So one of the last stories that he wrote was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So I'm going to tell y'all about Goldilocks. So once upon a time, Goldilocks was a little girl that always was exploring in the woods, and they called her Goldilocks because she had blonde pigtails that were curly. So Goldilocks came upon this cabin, and she knocked on the door several times. When no one opened the door, she walked into the cabin, and she saw 3 bowls of porridge sitting on the table. Well, Goldilocks was obviously hungry because she had been wandering in the forest all day, no food, no water. So she walks up to the bowls and she helps herself to those. So she tries the first bowl of porridge and she says, "This is way too cold, like I can't eat this." So she tries the second bowl and it burns her mouth, it's too hot. So there's a smaller bowl and she tries that and it's just right, so she eats the whole bowl. So then after that, as most of us do, she gets really full and she just wants to go sit down and take a nap. So Goldilocks wanders into the living room that's next door and she sees 3 chairs. So she sees the first chair, the first 2 chairs look kind of big, but she tries them anyways. So she sits in the first chair and she's like, "This chair is way too big." So she sits in the second chair and she's like, "This one's still too big." So she tries the last one and it fit just right. So when she tries to lean back and make herself comfortable, the chair broke, and so she just left it there. She got up. So she was like, "I'm tired, this has been a long day." So she goes upstairs and she just wants to lay down and go to sleep. So she walks up the stairs from the living room and she finds 3 beautifully made beds, and so she wants to try out each of them to see what she would like better. So she goes and she lays down on the first bed and she's like, "This bed is way too hard." So she lays down on the second bed and she's like, "This bed is way too soft, like she can't even sit up comfortably on it because it just sucks her in." So she tries the last bed and it's so comfortable, she lays down and goes straight to sleep. Well, a few hours go by, she's taking her nap, and she hears somebody come inside, and she hears something, so she just ignores it, kind of lays there. So the bears come up the stairs, it's 3 of them, it's a mama bear, papa bear, and baby bear. They come inside, and they see the 3 bowls of porridge sitting on the table. So mama bear notices them first, and she says, like, "Somebody's been eating my porridge," and daddy bear's like, "Well, somebody's been eating mine too." So baby bear starts crying, and he's like, "Somebody ate all of my porridge." And then they go into the living room because they're like, "Well, maybe like something just happened to it." So they go into the living room and they see their chairs. They can tell the chairs have been moved, they've been sat in, they have like a blanket in it. So Daddy Bear was like, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair." And Mama Bear said, "Well, somebody's been sitting in my chair too." Baby Bear starts crying even harder and said, "Well, somebody sat in mine and broke it into pieces." So they go upstairs to see if they can find who caused all this trouble. And when they come up the stairs, they find Goldilocks laying in her bed, laying in the bed asleep, in Baby Bear's bed. So they look at Daddy Bear's bed first and they're like, "Somebody's been laying in this bed, like the covers are messed up and everything." So then they go to Mama Bear's bed and she's like, "Well, somebody laid in mine too." Well, then they look over at Baby Bear's bed. Goldilocks is sound asleep in the bed and she looks up and she sees him and she screams because she's scared. So without even talking to each other, she goes downstairs, runs out the house, and goes into the woods. And they never saw each other again.